Hello students, I have here my sample number 23, neckline facing with understitching. For this sample we need one front on fold, we need two back, we need the facing, front facing on fold, and the back facing. Okay, this is not on fold, we need two pieces of the back. I have my pieces here. Here is my back, my front facing, and my body. Okay, I have the front and the back pieces. Match the shoulders and go to the machine and sew the shoulder with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Start with back stitch. I can see. Okay. Start sewing with back stitch. Continue sewing straight. And finish with back stitch. Take the other shoulder. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Start sewing with back stitch and finish with back stitch. Okay, here's my body. Take the facing. Remember, check the grain line of your back. The side without stretch is the center back. The side with stretch is the shoulder. Just mark the shoulder there. Match the shoulder here. Go to the machine and sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Back stitch when you start. Back stitch at the end. Go to the other shoulder. Do the same thing. Back stitch when you start, back stitch at the end. I have here my facing. Okay, open the facing like this and clean the edge. We have two edges here. This one, the short edge, is the edge we need to attach to the body, and the outside edge is the one we need to clean with the serger or the zigzag at this point. Move your operation to zigzag. Stop here, open the seam because the seam needs to be open. Continue. Stop here, open the seam, and continue sewing. Like this. When you have this step ready, open your body and right side up, you're facing right side down, and you need to match the shoulder seam first with a pin. Okay, open your body shoulder seam and match with your facing shoulder seam. Put a pin here. Take this one and put a pin matching the shoulder. If you think it's necessary, put a pin at the center, right here. Okay, if you need more pins, just use more pins, that's fine. Okay, when you have this with your pins, go to the machine and start sewing with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Start sewing with back stitch. Remember to change your machine operation. Start sewing with back stitch and continue. Close to the shoulder seam stop, because you need to be sure that your seam is open. Okay, just continue sewing. Be sure that your shoulder seam is open. And continue sewing. At the end, finish with back stitch. Remove your pins. Now, take a scissor and make clips all the way, every 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and be careful, don't cut your seam. Okay, try to go close to the seam, but don't cut the seam. We don't want to create any hole there. Just clip all around. Now we need to do an understitch. The understitch needs to be on top of the facing, on the right side of the facing. You need to open and extend the facing like this, and the seam needs to be under the facing. Just go to the machine, and following the seam, you need to do the understitch with 1/16, no more than 1/8 seam allowance. And check, because you need to hold the seam with the understitch, okay? At the end, to finish, go to the iron. Obviously, cut all the threads first, like this. Go to the iron and iron it in this way. The facing needs to be like this, and the understitch needs to be on top of the facing. From the wrong side, we need to see the facing and the understitch, and from the right side, we need to see just the body, no the understitch. And this is sample number 23.